Intro. There was a time when the kitchen wasn't just another room in the house, it was the heart of the American home. Before smartphones, streaming services, and busy schedules pulled families in different directions, nearly every day began and ended around the kitchen table. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the air before sunrise. Children hurried through breakfast before catching the school bus. Parents talked about work. Neighbors stopped by for a cup of coffee, and homemade dinners brought everyone together at the end of the day. Every shelf, cabinet, and countertop held something familiar. Some items were practical, while others became treasured parts of family traditions. They weren't expensive or flashy, but they quietly shaped everyday life for millions of Americans. Looking back today, it's surprising how many of those once common kitchen essentials have completely disappeared, replaced by modern appliances, changing lifestyles, and new technology. Yet for many baby boomers and Generation X viewers, seeing these forgotten kitchen staples is like opening an old family photo album. Suddenly, memories of grandparents' homes, Sunday dinners, holiday baking, and conversations around the table come rushing back. Today, we're looking at 10 things every American kitchen used to have, but don't anymore. Some vanished because technology improved, while others simply faded as American life changed. Each one tells a story about how families once lived, cooked, and connected with one another. Let's begin with a kitchen feature that once quietly worked in homes across America but has almost completely disappeared. 10. Built-in flour bins. Long before neatly packaged bags of flour lined supermarket shelves, many American kitchens included something that seems almost unbelievable today: a built-in flour bin. Popular from the 1920s through the 1950s, these metal-lined storage compartments were often built directly into kitchen cabinets. Homemakers could purchase flour in large quantities and pour it straight into the bin, making baking quicker and more convenient. During those decades, homemade bread, pies, biscuits, and cakes were part of everyday life, rather than special occasions. A built-in flour bin meant there was always enough flour ready for a busy household. Children often watched their mothers or grandmothers scoop flour directly from the cabinet, while preparing recipes that had been passed down through generations. It wasn't just practical, it became part of the daily rhythm of family life. As supermarkets expanded and packaged goods became more convenient in the 1960s and beyond, these built-in bins slowly disappeared. Pre-measured bags were easier to store, cleaner to handle, and required less maintenance. Modern kitchens also favored sleek cabinetry over specialized built-in storage. Today, spotting one of these flour bins is like discovering a hidden piece of American domestic history. They remind us of an era when baking from scratch wasn't a hobby, it was simply how dinner found its way to the table. 8. Metal bread boxes. Before bread was stored in plastic bins or tucked away inside modern pantries, many American kitchens proudly displayed a colorful metal bread box on the countertop. Throughout the 1940s, 1950s, and well into the 1960s, these sturdy containers helped keep homemade loaves and bakery bread fresh for several days while adding a cheerful touch to the kitchen's decor. Bread boxes came in soft pastel shades, bright enamel finishes, or polished chrome that perfectly matched other kitchen accessories of the era. Every morning, someone would slide open the lid to prepare toast for breakfast or sandwiches for school lunches. For many families, opening that bread box became one of those small daily rituals that hardly anyone noticed until it disappeared. As kitchens evolved, improved food packaging and larger pantry cabinets reduced the need for a dedicated bread box. Plastic storage bags became more effective at preserving freshness, and countertop space became increasingly valuable in newer homes. Gradually, these once essential containers were packed away, donated, or simply forgotten. Today, vintage bread boxes are sought after by collectors and often appear in retro-inspired kitchens. More than just practical storage, they represent a time when even the simplest household items were designed with personality, durability, and a sense of everyday charm. 7. Hoosier Cabinets. Before sleek built-in cabinets filled modern American kitchens, there was one piece of furniture that many homemakers considered absolutely indispensable: the Hoosier cabinet. From the early 1900s through the 1930s, and in many homes well into the 1940s, these all-in-one kitchen workstations transformed the way families prepared meals. Long before today's fitted cabinetry became standard, a Hoosier cabinet served as the kitchen's storage center, workspace, and organizational hub, all in one beautifully crafted piece. Named after the Indiana-based companies that popularized them, Hoosier cabinets featured clever built-in conveniences that felt remarkably advanced for their time. They often included flour sifters, pull-out work surfaces, spice racks, drawers for utensils, and specially designed compartments for sugar, coffee, and baking supplies. Every item had its place, allowing busy homemakers to prepare meals more efficiently in an era when nearly everything was made from scratch. Picture a quiet morning in the late 1920s. Sunlight filters through lace curtains as a mother opens the cabinet's polished wooden doors. She slides out the enamel work surface, measures flour from the built-in dispenser, and begins mixing dough while children wait eagerly for warm biscuits or fresh bread. That cabinet wasn't just a piece of furniture. It was the center of countless family traditions, holiday baking sessions, and everyday meals shared around the table. As American homes became larger after World War II, fully built-in kitchen cabinets gradually replaced standalone workstations like the Hoosier cabinet. Modern kitchens offered more permanent storage, larger countertops, and updated appliances, making these once essential cabinets seem outdated. Many were discarded during remodeling projects, though others were lovingly passed down through generations as treasured family heirlooms. Today, beautifully restored, Hoosier cabinets are prized by collectors and vintage home enthusiasts. They stand as a reminder of a time when thoughtful craftsmanship, practical design, and family life came together in one remarkable piece of furniture. And while today's kitchens may be bigger and more modern, few pieces have ever captured the warmth and character of the humble Hoosier cabinet. Transition. From one of the kitchen's largest and most beloved furnishings, let's move to one of its smallest, an everyday item that quietly waited by the stove, ready to help light countless family meals. 6. Kitchen match holders. Long before electric stove igniters and push-button appliances became standard, nearly every American kitchen had a simple but essential accessory mounted near the stove: a kitchen match holder. From the 1920s through the 1950s, these small wall-mounted containers, often made of ceramic, porcelain, or painted tin, kept wooden matches dry, organized, and always within easy reach. Whether it was lighting a gas stove, starting the oven, igniting a water heater, or even lighting candles during a power outage, a dependable match holder was something every household relied on. Many of these holders were surprisingly decorative. Some featured hand-painted flowers, cheerful fruit patterns, or charming country scenes that matched the kitchen's decor. A rough striking surface was often built into the side, allowing a match to be lit with one quick motion. For children growing up during those decades, parents frequently reminded them that the match holder was strictly for adults, a quiet household rule that many still remember today. Imagine a winter evening in the late 1940s. Dinner is nearly ready, and the kitchen fills with the comforting aroma of roast chicken and freshly baked biscuits. A mother reaches for a wooden match, strikes it against the ceramic holder, and with a gentle whoosh, the blue flame beneath the gas burner comes to life. It was a tiny moment repeated thousands of times throughout the year. Yet it became part of the familiar rhythm of everyday American life. As automatic electric igniters became common during the 1960s and 1970s, the need for kitchen match holders steadily disappeared. New gas ranges no longer required a separate flame, and modern safety standards encouraged different methods of ignition. During kitchen renovations, these little holders were often removed without a second thought, quietly fading from American homes. Today, vintage kitchen match holders are popular collectibles displayed in farmhouse kitchens and antique collections. Though small and easily overlooked, they represent a time when even the simplest household tools were thoughtfully designed, beautifully crafted, and woven into the daily routines of family life. While match holders helped bring the stove to life, another familiar kitchen tradition wasn't hidden inside a cabinet at all. It sat proudly in plain sight, right on top of the refrigerator, tempting every child who walked into the room. 5. Cookie tins on top of the refrigerator. For countless American families, one of the happiest sights in the kitchen wasn't found inside a cabinet. It was sitting right on top of the refrigerator. From the 1940s through the 1980s, colorful metal cookie tins became a familiar fixture in homes across the country. Decorated with cheerful flowers, holiday scenes, or classic brand designs, these tins often held homemade cookies, fresh-baked treats, or sometimes a delightful surprise. Every child seemed to know exactly where the cookie tin lived. After school, many would quietly pull over a chair, stretch onto their tiptoes, and carefully lift the lid, hoping to find chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, or buttery sugar cookies baked just a day or two earlier. Of course, there were also those unforgettable moments when the tin contained something completely unexpected. Buttons, sewing supplies, old photographs, or spare household odds and ends instead of cookies. It became a family joke shared in homes all across America. The cookie tin represented more than a place to store baked goods. It symbolized homemade hospitality and the comfort of knowing there was always something sweet waiting for family, neighbors, or unexpected guests. During holidays, those same tins were filled with Christmas cookies, fudge, or homemade candies and lovingly shared with relatives and friends. As lifestyles became busier and store-bought snacks replaced homemade baking in many households, the tradition slowly faded. Plastic food containers and resealable packaging became more common, while the once proud cookie tin gradually disappeared from kitchen countertops and refrigerator tops. Fewer families baked large batches of cookies every week, and one small tradition quietly slipped into memory. Today, spotting an old cookie tin instantly brings back memories of warm kitchens, after-school treats, and grandparents who always seemed to have something special tucked away inside. Sometimes the greatest treasures weren't expensive at all. They were simply found beneath the familiar lid of a well-loved tin. 4. The kitchen step stool. Long before modern kitchens featured towering cabinets and custom storage solutions, there was one humble item that quietly earned its place in nearly every American home: the kitchen step stool. Throughout the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, these sturdy folding stools were an everyday necessity, helping families reach high shelves, clean the tops of cabinets, and retrieve jars or mixing bowls stored just out of reach. Most were made from painted steel with rubber-tipped legs and a padded vinyl seat, making them both practical and comfortable enough to double as an extra chair. On any given afternoon, a mother might unfold the step stool to reach the highest cabinet where holiday dishes or treasured recipe books were kept. Children often climbed onto the lower step to help stir cake batter or decorate Christmas cookies under a parent's watchful eye. For many families, the stool became part of a child's first cooking lesson, offering just enough height to peek over the countertop and feel included in the excitement of preparing a meal. It wasn't simply a household tool. It was a small bridge between generations, where recipes, stories, and traditions were shared. As kitchen designs changed in the 1970s and beyond, cabinets became easier to access. Lightweight folding ladders replaced dedicated kitchen stools, and many newer homes simply no longer had a place for them. What was once a daily companion gradually disappeared into garages, basements, or thrift stores. Today, vintage kitchen step stools have become sought-after pieces of Americana. Restored in bright pastel colors or classic chrome finishes, they remind us of a time when the kitchen welcomed everyone, including the smallest members of the family, and when learning to bake often began with climbing onto that familiar little stool. Transition. While step stools helped families reach the highest shelves, another kitchen tradition sat quietly inside the refrigerator, waiting to provide an ice-cold drink on a warm summer day. 3. Refrigerator. Water bottles. Before refrigerators came equipped with filtered water dispensers, every American family had its own simple solution for keeping drinking water cold. From the 1930s through the 1970s, glass water bottles or sturdy pitchers were a familiar sight inside nearly every refrigerator. Filled fresh each morning, they waited patiently on the shelf, ready to quench the thirst of children returning from outside or parents taking a break after a long day's work. Many of these bottles were made of thick ribbed glass with colorful plastic or metal lids, while others featured simple floral patterns that matched the rest of the kitchen. Opening the refrigerator on a hot July afternoon often revealed beads of condensation clinging to the bottle's surface. A parent would pour the icy water into a sturdy drinking glass, the gentle clink of ice cubes and the cool splash of water becoming one of summer's simplest pleasures. Long before bottled water became a billion-dollar industry, this was how American families stayed refreshed. The tradition also reflected a different era of household habits. Rather than buying individual bottles or relying on built-in dispensers, families simply refilled the same container every day. It was economical, practical, and quietly sustainable, without anyone giving it much thought. As refrigerator technology evolved and filtered water systems became common, decorative glass bottles gradually disappeared from everyday use. Plastic pitchers, disposable water bottles, and door-mounted dispensers replaced them, leaving behind only memories of opening the refrigerator to find that familiar chilled bottle waiting inside. Today, vintage refrigerator water bottles evoke memories of hot summers, backyard games, lemonade stands, and kitchens where even a simple glass of cold water felt like a small act of comfort shared with the whole family. Transition. And speaking of mixing family traditions with everyday practicality, our next item helped create everything from birthday cakes to holiday dinners, and chances are it sat in nearly every kitchen cabinet across America. 2. Enamelware mixing bowls. Few kitchen items capture the spirit of old American home cooking quite like the Enamelware mixing bowl. Throughout the 1920s, 1930s, and well into the 1960s, these durable bowls were found in kitchens from busy city apartments to quiet country farmhouses. Made from steel coated with smooth enamel, they were lightweight, easy to clean, and built to withstand years of daily use. Many featured bright white finishes with colorful rims in red, blue, or green, adding a cheerful touch to even the busiest kitchens. For countless families, these bowls were at the center of every important meal. They held bread dough waiting to rise beneath a clean towel, cake batter mixed for birthdays, pancake batter on lazy Saturday mornings, and potatoes ready for holiday dinners. Children often gathered around the table, eagerly taking turns stirring ingredients with a wooden spoon, while grandparents shared recipes that had never been written down. Over time, tiny chips and scratches appeared along the rim, each one telling the story of another family gathering, another celebration, or another ordinary evening made special by a home-cooked meal. As lightweight plastic and stainless steel cookware became more popular during the 1960s and 1970s, enamelware gradually lost its place in many kitchens. Manufacturers introduced newer materials that promised convenience and modern style, while older bowls were packed away, donated, or simply worn out after decades of faithful service. Today, vintage enamelware mixing bowls have become beloved collectibles, admired not only for their timeless beauty, but also for the memories they carry. They remind us that some of life's happiest moments weren't created by fancy appliances or expensive gadgets, but by simple tools that brought families together around the kitchen table. Transition from mixing bowls that helped prepare unforgettable family meals, we arrive at one kitchen feature that may have quietly served millions of homes without most people ever giving it a second thought. It earns our #1 spot because it perfectly captures how everyday convenience once looked in the American kitchen. 1. Flour sifter canisters. Long before electric stand mixers and pre-sifted baking mixes became common, one kitchen tool quietly played a starring role in countless American homes: the flour sifter canister. From the 1930s through the 1960s, these beautifully designed metal containers sat proudly on kitchen counters or inside Hoosier cabinets, always ready for the next loaf of bread, batch of biscuits, or homemade cake. Many featured built-in hand cranks or squeeze handles that transformed ordinary flour into a light, airy ingredient, helping baked goods rise higher and bake more evenly. For many families, using the flour sifter marked the beginning of something special. It might have been a birthday cake mixed from scratch, a pie prepared for Thanksgiving, or a batch of cookies filling the house with the comforting smell of vanilla and butter. Children often begged to turn the handle, fascinated as soft clouds of flour drifted gently into the mixing bowl below. It was a simple task, but one that made young helpers feel like an important part of the family's traditions. The flour sifter also reflected a time when baking was woven into everyday life, rather than reserved for weekends or holidays. Homemade recipes were passed from one generation to the next, often without written measurements, relying instead on experience, memory, and familiar kitchen routines. Every crank of the sifter became part of a ritual that brought families together around the table, as packaged baking mixes, electric appliances, and pre-sifted flour became widely available during the second half of the 20th century. Flour sifters slowly disappeared from everyday kitchens. While many remained tucked away in cupboards for years, fewer families found themselves reaching for them. Today, vintage flour sifters have become cherished reminders of an era when patience, craftsmanship, and homemade meals defined family life. They remind us that some of the sweetest memories weren't created by modern convenience, but by simple traditions shared one recipe at a time. Outro. It's remarkable how something as ordinary as a kitchen can hold so many extraordinary memories. These weren't luxury items or expensive gadgets. They were simple tools that quietly became part of everyday American life. A flour sifter waiting on the counter, a bread box keeping tomorrow's sandwiches fresh, a cookie tin perched on top of the refrigerator, or a kitchen telephone that brought good news, family conversations, and the occasional surprise call. At the time, no one imagined these everyday objects would one day become pieces of history. Yet they remind us that a home is built as much by its routines as by its walls. Every meal prepared, every recipe shared, every holiday dinner, and every afternoon spent helping in the kitchen became part of a family story. While today's kitchens are filled with remarkable technology, many people still miss the warmth and simplicity of the kitchens they grew up in. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which old kitchen item brings back the strongest memories? Was there something your parents or grandparents had that we didn't mention? Share your stories in the comments below. We read every one, and your memories may inspire a future episode of American Scrapbook. If this journey brought back a smile or reminded you of someone special, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another trip through America's past. Until next time, thank you for joining us as we turn another page in American Scrapbook.